Good evening to one and all present here. I'm Varun, and today, first of all, welcome to Ahmedabad Management Association. We are having this beautiful evening with Miss Archana Shah, and she'll be talking about engaging with artisans, the BANDHEJ story. So, a little bit about Miss Archana Shah. She has been collaborating with artisans around the country for over 4 decades to create textiles for a clothing company, Bandhej. I'm sure all of us know about it. She started with a vision to uphold, preserve, and sustain the precious hand skills of indigenous artisans through collaborative design intervention. The label offers a range of eco-friendly, sustainable fashion with an Eastern sensibility. Through the many initiatives, she has been able to revive and rejuvenate several craft skills and techniques and has been able to demonstrate that there is a viable market in urban centers for craft-based textiles. She published her first book, Shifting Sands, Kutch, Land in Transition, which recounts her journey over 3 decades in Kutch, its people and their crafts in 2013. And her second her publication, Crafting a Future, Stories of Indian Textiles and Sustainable Practices, a book about the value of handicrafted textiles in present times, was published in 2022. Over the years, she has been associated with renowned educational institutions such as NID, NIFT, CEPT, and more recently, Chitkara University. So let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Archana Shah.
Thanks, Varun, to introduce Archana. And thank you, Archana. I'm Kathan Kothari. I'm a part of Association of Designers of India. So on behalf of Association of Designers of India, I would like to welcome all of you here. I think it's so nice to see the family gathering after almost 1.5 months where we all met for Ashok Chatterjee's event at AMA. And such a beautiful evening is being spent with Archana. So thank you, Archana, for being here and accepting our invitation. I'll just give a brief about this program. So this program is known as Design Talks, and every month along with AMA, ADI brings forward to the city a designer of different field so that young people, community members can learn more about design. So that's the main idea behind the program. Let's hear from you. I think AMA would like to give you a small token of memento.
Well, hello everyone. I'm really overwhelmed to see so many. Well, thank you all for being here today. Well, thank you, Shimul, Paulomi, and the ADI team for inviting me. Okay. Well, apart from the Bandhej story, I'll share my views about the artisanal sector because I feel they're interconnected. I was introduced to a heritage textiles and its value when I was a design student at the NID. Regular visits to the Calico Museum expanded our appreciation for these amazing fabrics. Our teacher, Helena Pehrentupa, encouraged us to travel to craft centers to observe artisans working with their hands, as she believed there was a lot to learn from our traditional textiles, as they are our indigenous design vocabulary. Studying them would be good source of inspiration and would enable our work to be rooted in an Indian ethos, though the interpretations could be modern to suit present-day needs. As design students in the mid-1970s, we were encouraged to assist a senior or teacher working on an assignment. My first experience of engaging with an artisan's family was in 1977 as a classroom project. I was sent to Dhamadka, a printer's village in Kutch, with my senior Sulekha. The project involved with us staying with Mohammad Bhai Siddiq Bhai, an Ajrak block printer, for 2 weeks to study their craft, understand their production processes, and based on our learning, design a collection of block printed surfaces for Gurjari, a state-owned handloom and handicraft store. This was a world completely different than our own. My first experience of living in a village with an artisan's family. Dhamadka was an isolated Muslim village with no electricity or city comforts. Most people from the village had never ventured out, and they were apprehensive about us, 2 young girls who had come to live in their village. Luckily, Mohammad Bhai was a well-respected man and was able to pacify them. We would spend the day at the workshop taking impressions of their wooden blocks and learning about their processes. Mohammad Bhai had a twinkle in his eyes and genuinely enjoyed his work. Our evenings were spent listening to his stories about their history, life, and work, which added a depth to my experience. I absorbed a lot from his inherent wisdom, and I also learned that work can be a pleasurable way of life. We were overwhelmed with their generosity, and within days we were part of their family, a relationship that has continued till present times. A collection of prints were greatly appreciated, and from that time onwards, the family received regular orders from Gurjari, which improved their financial condition. My deep-rooted admiration for artisanal skills attracted me to work in this sector. After graduating from NID, I went back to Kutch to work with women embroiderers at Hodko village in Bani, with Vishram Bhai and Devji Bhai, both Dhabla weavers at Bhujodi, and Bandhani artisans Ali Mahmad Isha in Bhuj and Ismail Bhai in Mandvi. They were craftspeople I'd met during my earlier trips to Kutch. I also continued working with Mahmad Bhai, an association that has continued over 3 generations, and today I work with Junaid and Adam, his grandsons. I was so fascinated by the Bandhani technique that I named my company BANDHEJ. The word Bandhani or Bandhej is derived from the Sanskrit word bandh, which means to tie or create a bond. I felt this would be an appropriate name, symbolizing the bond I share with that I would share with artisans I work with, as well as my customers. At that time, I had no idea that one day it could become a recognized brand synonymous with handcrafted clothing. By 1982, I set up a sampling unit in an old Haveli at Jethabhaini Pole in the walled city. It had a stunning carved wooden facade with 40 small and large rooms around a sizable central courtyard with a gallery around it, which I used as a display space. Overlooking the open courtyard on the first floor was a large room that I used as my design studio. In other rooms, I installed a few frame looms, a panja loom for dari samples, and 2 vertical looms for knotted carpets. In other section, I had 4 block printing tables and a small dyeing facility. Our customers who visited the informal store could walk around these spaces. This was a novel experience for them, as most people had little exposure to craft processes. So this added a unique value to our merchandise. In the initial years, I sold our collection of clothing and home furnishing through exhibitions in Ahmedabad, Bombay, and Delhi. Customers showed a great deal of interest, as at that time, textiles from rural regions were still a novelty. I also sold home accessories such as floor rugs, bed covers, cushion covers, and dinner napkins through a few select shops such as The Shop and Fab India in Delhi and Contemporary Arts and Crafts in Mumbai. I needed to sell what I produced so I could return to place fresh orders with artisans I worked with, to continue my engagement with them. I was fascinated by the diversity of craft skills around the country. So I also spent the next few years traveling to different regions to learn about the vast range of weaving, dyeing, printing, and embroidery techniques practiced by artisans in different regions. Often, I stayed with artisans' family when there were no other facilities available in the neighborhood, which was often the case. I enjoyed observing craftspeople working with their hands, and the time spent with them allowed me to study their technique as well as listen to their stories. This experience helped me comprehend how processes have evolved and understand how patterns have developed. In many ways, this enriching journey became the foundation for my future work. Then, in 1983, I was offered an opportunity by my former teacher, Dashrath Patel, to work on the inauguration of the Festival of India to be held in Paris in the summer of 1985. This was held at the Eiffel Tower, presided over by the then President Mitterrand and the Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, followed by a 3-day mela on the famous street between Champs-Élysées and the Eiffel Tower. The scale was enormous. My task were to print a large number of colorful flags with Indian motifs to decorate the Eiffel Tower, design textiles with a distinctive Indian aesthetic to drape the many massive gateways in front of the Eiffel Tower, and craft torans to decorate the performance stages erected between the gateways. To meet the expectation of this ambitious project, I had to expand my engagement with a very large team of artisans and tailors who played a vital role in producing the vast quantities of textiles that were required. As we were getting ready to print the flags for the Eiffel Tower, Ahmedabad faced bloody riots. Given the prestigious status of the project, with the Prime Minister scheduled to inaugurate the event, we received special permission from Delhi. Under police protection, the printers came to work during the curfew hours. Against all odds, we managed to complete the production and ship the textiles to Paris. I then traveled there to oversee the installation. This experience prepared me to handle the much larger scale of inaugurations of the Festival of India in the former USSR, held in Moscow, Leningrad, and Tashkent between 1987 and 88. After returning from Paris, I was forced to move out of the Jethabhaini Pole. This was a conservative residential area. Some of the residents did not approve of people from other communities coming to work here. Fortunately, the Paris project had been financially rewarding, and I earned enough to set up our first retail shop in Ahmedabad in central Navrangpura area. By this time, I had gained confidence from both the Paris experience and the positive response to the many successful exhibitions. I felt ready to expand my business. In 1986, we opened our first shop in Ahmedabad. This was much before the Indian retail boom. BANDHEJ was started with a vision of working closely with the precious hand skills of our indigenous artisans to create contemporary textiles through collaborative design interventions. We promote ethical fashion, offering a range of eco-friendly clothing that has understated elegance and a modern appeal. Our silhouettes are simple, classic cuts. It is the uniqueness of our fabrics that give our clothes its unique identity. Over the years, through both the franchise model and our own outlets, we opened 13 stores across the country. As we expanded the footprint of our shops, we needed to increase our engagement with artisans. So apart from Kutch, we started working with craftspeople at Banaras in Rajasthan, Champa, Chanderi, and Maheshwari in Madhya Pradesh, Mangalgiri and Puttapaka in Telangana, Bhagalpur in Bihar, Murshidabad in Bengal, for brocades in Banaras, and patola weavers in Rajkot. Early on in my work, I realized to make a difference, especially at a time when the artisans did not have steady work. I needed to be consistent in placing regular orders. I understood it would be best to work with a select group of artisans on a long-term basis. Once we were comfortable working with a family of weavers, printers, Bandhani artisans, and women group who handle the applique and embroidery work, we would regularly place orders with them. There was no compulsion. This was a personal choice. This benefited both and helped us build a comfortable network where every season we could produce fabrics, dupattas, and saris to suit our needs. Without the dictates of any external pressures, we have been able to sell our collection through our own stores around the country. This sounds wonderful, but it came with a great responsibility. Providing regular work for the same group of craftspeople over many years without a break has been a design challenge. The most demanding task has been to constantly develop new interpretations for the same craft skill every season while maintaining quality as the scale expanded. We made conscious efforts to help improve craft processes, suggesting contemporary design directions within the scope of their skills and technique to retain the flavor of their craft and providing a marketing platform for what they produced. In the process, Bandhej has played a modest role in rejuvenating many crafts skills. To remain relevant in this highly competitive market, we've had to regularly reinvent ourselves. It takes years to build a brand, but if the company does not keep up with the times, it can quickly lose its position. When I first started working with artisans in the early 1980s, I was met with considerable resistance. They were often rigid, unwilling to make even minor adjustments. In many cases, their first reaction would be not possible. This was partly because they had no prior experience of working with a designer nor any exposure to urban markets, and they were understandably skeptical about a young woman placing orders. What if I did not like the outcome and refused to pay for the fabrics? They would not be able to sell them in their local market. So their apprehension was justified. However, once I started returning to place more orders, the confidence grew and they gradually became more open to trying out different permutations. At that time, when urban markets were not yet exposed to these handcrafted textiles, customers responded with great appreciation and we were able to sell all that we produced. One of my fruitful association has been with Ismail Bhai Khatri, who I had met as a student traveling around Manvi. In the 1980s, when I first started working with him, I discovered that there were very few good Bandhani craftspeople left in this region. The local market was flooded with cheaper screen-printed options in similar patterns. Little that was produced was of poor quality, as the local consumers could not afford the price. In trying to make the product cheaper to suit the market, artisans compromised on quality. I was able to change this through design engagement, insisting on improving the quality and offering an alternate urban market. Together with Ismail Bhai and now his sons Aziz and Razak, without a break over the last 45 years, We've been managed to create more than 100 collections using the same Bandhani dot technique, adding new colors, rearranging old patterns, and in the process, developing a new design vocabulary without ever compromising on quality. By the mid-1990s, we started a mail order business. Bandhani outfits were prominently featured in our catalogs, which were distributed across the country over 7 seasons. Each of our catalogs had stories of traditional craft techniques and always included a collection of Bandhani outfits. In many ways, the catalog helped build the Bandhej brand and played a significant role in popularizing Bandhani nationwide. Mandvi became known as a center for Bandhani production, and merchants from various towns and cities carrying copies of our catalog traveled here to place orders. This was wonderful, as many local artisans started getting regular work. But our designs were copied, and I found this immensely upsetting. When I spoke about this with Helena, she reassured me, saying this was actually a compliment. As a designer, you must keep offering something new. Stay ahead of the curve. The day they stop copying you is when you should worry, as it would indicate you have become redundant. Her advice has stayed with me, and I've tried to ignore the many instances when our designs have been appropriated. Our intervention has had a rolling effect. Bandhani fabrics continue to retain its charm, and the many dyers today have adequate orders, which in turn offers work to over 80,000 women in and around Mandvi, who earn a supplementary income tying Bandhani dots. In 2010, I visited Kutch with my son Vyom. For a long time, artisans who had seen him growing up, as he often traveled with me there, they wanted to meet the young man. So this was a social trip. We visited all the people I knew in Kutch. Everywhere we went, they talked about the dramatic changes that have taken place after the tragic 2001 earthquake. We shared nostalgic memories of the past and talked about the cultural changes, lamented about the increased pollution, about migrants who have changed the demography of this region, as well as happy stories of our long association. This inspired me to write, share my memories of this land that taught me many lessons, a land I consider my second home. I never imagined I could write. Language was never my strength. But once I sat down to write, stories kept flowing, and the process became an interesting way to reflect on my own journey and everything that I have come to admire about this land. It shifted my perception and opened my mind to see things in a new light. The outcome was a book, Shifting Sands, Kutch, a land in transition, about people, their stories, and about their craft traditions, which was published in 2013. Close interaction with various artisans groups around the country has given me a unique view of this sector. With time, as I probed deeper, I discovered the profound value inherent in this segment, which led me to further research and write about its immense value and significance. The synergy between design practice and research constantly revitalizes my work, and one feeding on the other, offering new viewpoints. Heritage textiles in India are a living tradition. Each region of our country offers a wealth of unique textile skills, techniques, fibers, color palettes, patterns, and processes. It is to the credit of our artisans that these skills have survived and evolved over time. The sector has a new meaning today as it can address the two major challenges we face: growing unemployment and climate change. The artisanal production is not only culturally significant, it has an eco-friendly means of production with a minimal carbon footprint and largely fulfills the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. By making productive use of their time and skills, developing this segment would help empower millions would help empower millions of women and marginalized communities by providing them with sustainable income within their own regional locations. This would protect them from the misery of migrating to urban centers where jobs today are hard to find and living conditions in slums can be inhuman. Creative industry is one of the only sectors that can generate the much needed jobs today. For the longest time, I've been hearing contradictory views about the handloom sector, such as it is languishing, calling it the sunset industry, or handcrafted production is too expensive and hence not viable. Policymakers believed the new industries coming up in the rural regions would provide work, but this has not really happened. And today, the new sophisticated machines need less and less hands to man them. Often, we hear younger generation do not want to pursue this craft. One reason being this work is laborious, with little perceived value and often pays less than an unskilled worker working at construction sites. My own experience has been different. As all the families I've worked with, their children, out of their own choice, want to continue practicing their craft. With regular work, they have seen a social and financial transformation in their lives. Today, skilled artisans who produce good quality textiles can earn well, and they now realize the value of being their own masters, working in the comfort of their own homes, where families are not divided. There is community support, and most of all, they can earn a decent income. To address my many queries about this segment, I combined my passion for wandering with my keen interest in heritage textiles and decided to travel around the country between 2018 and 20 to regions previously unknown to me, to talk with artisans to understand their views and learn about the challenges they face. Apart from meeting a wide range of craftspeople, I enjoyed the exposure to different cultures, communities, lifestyles, architecture, and food. The COVID-related lockdown gave me the quiet time to process all that I had learned and articulate my thoughts in my book, Crafting a Future, Stories of Indian Textiles and Sustainable Practices. This book is about craftspeople, a celebration of their vocational skills. It is a rich tapestry of inspiring stories of artisans, designers, and NGOs who made a difference, improved systems, offered regular work, and created markets for their products. Most importantly, it shifts the focus from textiles to the makers of these beautiful fabrics. Based on my experience of working with and talking to a large number of artisans, I repeat, if a market demand is created and they see the possibility of earning a decent income, artisans are quick to learn and they're happy to adapt and continue practicing their craft. In the last few years, there's been a growing demand for organic Kala cotton fabric in Kutch. This rise in work opportunities and better wages has increased the number of weavers and has also encouraged many young women to take up weaving, something that was not done before. Similarly, around Kota in Rajasthan, there are more than 3,500 looms in use. Here again, I observed first-time women weavers creating the most intricately patterned Kota Doria saris. A prominent business family ordered a few thousand double ikat patola dupattas as a gift for guests attending their daughter's wedding. Fortunately, these dupattas could not be replicated on a power loom, as the weaving process needs to be manipulated by hand for clarity in the pattern. It was not possible for the few patola weavers in Patan to fulfill this order. Enterprising single ikat weavers in Rajkot and Surendranagar district took up the challenge and completed the order. This brought an increased visibility and hence a growing demand for patola saris and dupattas. Now, there are a few hundred operational looms weaving double ikat patolas. It is promising to see young weavers using social media platforms to promote their products. They post reels sharing information about the technique and production process, thereby creating an interesting narrative that adds value to their creations. An increasing number of textile and fashion designers collaborate with artisans today, giving the product a modern look and immense visibility. These commercial initiatives mostly serve a luxury segment, sustaining a relatively small number of artisans. But it has generated a new interest and created an aspirational value for artisanal textiles. Given the size and diversity, with a few million textile artisans with varying skills in this segment, the market needs to be expanded. There is a mistaken belief that craft production cannot be scaled up. Handmade products are unique and no two pieces are identical. Why should a consignment of 5,000 scarves or shirts be identical? Like machine-produced units, if each piece is produced in a similar pattern and color with minor differences, if each individual piece is in good quality within the same price point, it should be acceptable as it is eventually going to be worn by different individuals. The charm of handmade is in its inherent variation. Large-scale impact is possible with political will and an appropriate policy, innovative collaborations, and a robust marketing strategy. Unlike capital-intensive industrial systems, the development of handcrafted segment does not require massive investment in infrastructure or technology. Instead, it focuses on decentralized, small-scale production models that focuses on craftsmanship, cultural heritage, and the use of local resources. Appropriate products need to be developed without compromising on quality for different market segments, from luxury to affordable fabrics for a larger audience. This needs to be backed by impactful awareness campaigns supported by clever branding, celebrity endorsements, and social media promotions. Such initiatives would capture a larger market share and elevate these textiles to become desirable. This would encourage artisans to continue practicing their craft. At present, there's a lot of disruption in the market. We often see digitally printed fabrics being passed off as block printed material and powerloom textiles as handlooms, sold at more attractive prices. This is an ethical problem. Computer-aided machines can reproduce the most intricately patterned handloom and block printed fabrics. What is lost in the process is the creativity of the artisan and their livelihood. The problem is not handmade versus machine-made, but striking a balance. There is a need for both. Each kind of production should maintain its own unique identity, not pass off machine-made textiles as handcrafted. Today, clothing is shaped by fast fashion, where large corporations dominate the industry and push consumption through clever marketing. The concept of use and discard is widely promoted as profit depends on more consumption. This relentless cycle of overproduction comes with a heavy cost. It is the environment and the workers in the supply chain who pay the price. climate change, and growing degeneration of the environment are realities we experience. So clearly, the choices we make today will define our future. With the planet's largest repository of craft skills, our artisans can contribute significantly by producing beautiful, eco-friendly textiles handmade in India for the domestic and international markets. For me, working with craftspeople has been an extremely rewarding experience. I have learned as much about human relationships as I have about craft processes and techniques. The pressure and challenge of creating something new each season has kept my involvement exciting and meaningful. These collaborations have brought me immense joy and fulfillment as I have seen many transformations. I feel fortunate to have built lasting relationships with craftspeople we interact with. Through our shared experience, we have learned from one another and continue to enrich both our personal and professional lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana, for this very illuminating and important behind the scenes story behind one of our favorite stores, BANDHEJ. On behalf of the Association of Designers of India, I'm Paulami Das, I'm the treasurer, and Jaimin is our committee member. We are extremely grateful to you for accepting this being part of the ADI family. And I'm a self-proclaimed BANDHEJ fan. I saw your catalog when I was growing up in Jaipur in my school, and I thought one day I will visit this store. And I've lived away from Ahmedabad for many years, but whenever I used to come to Ahmedabad for any, even if it was a one-day trip, for me BANDHEJ is like going to a pilgrimage site. I really, I love the store. And even when I go now that I live here, I close my eyes before entering the store. It's such a beautiful experience, and it's so important for us, all of us, not just sitting here, but other people who are eager to work in the field, to know the pain and hardship that goes behind each weave, each knot, and each motif and color that we see. So thank you very much for sharing your story, how you started as a student and all the struggles that you had to undergo. And even now, as we talk of environment and eco-friendly and organic, we are all sort of the receiving end of it. Pre-Diwali, there's a lot of pollution in the city, and each of us has something to contribute to it. And we are really grateful to you that you have been able to sustain the store for 45 years with maintaining the quality and the standards and the ethics behind it. So thank you again, Archana, and thank you everyone for being a part of it. Archana, there are lots of design students from new universities also which have come up. So thank you all for coming today. And the floor is now open to questions. Would you also, Varun?
Okay, hi. So, really inspiring. Archana ji, please, thank you so much for this beautiful presentation that you gave us. So, like I was talking about you, where you mentioned that you were associated with students, like you're associated with universities such as CEPT, NIFT, and ID. So what are the, like, how do you inspire them? Because right now we live in a world where people are into commercial production. Large scale industries are coming up in textiles, and students usually, you know, like students prefer, okay, we have a stable job, and, you know, we get into a good company where, you know, we grow and everything. So what is your take at, what is it that you tell the students to inspire them, you know, कि handicrafts को maintain करने की ज़रूरत है. It's very much needed and it needs to be preserved. So.
Well, I look at it in multiple ways. First of all, I think times have changed. We have technology, we have now artificial intelligence, and so I think universities I've been visiting recently, we talk more in terms of curriculum and how do we address this, which is very, very important. When I talk to textile students, I talk about the great opportunity that young fashion and textile designers have, because like nowhere else in the world can you do small scale production and the kind of variety that we have. So it's a win-win for both. It's the onus to continue a tradition should not be with artisans. If there is work, they will continue working. And the artisans today, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. They, over the years of interacting with the designers, they have also learned the process of design and creating new products. So I find that a lot of them are doing this. But as far as students are concerned, it is an opportunity for them. It's not like they're going to, this will give a unique twist to their clothes. So I think the sector needs to be looked at multiple levels. You can use technology also in a very positive way for the sector by not converting handcrafted into powerloom, which is what is being done immediately. You know, in Banaras you see them quickly transferring. Now a design can be put on a pen drive and created. So I think there's a lot of this kind of mess. So students, it's ethical problems today.
Thank you.
I don't know. I sort of probably said too many different things.
Okay, we'll be taking a few questions from the crowd, so please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not really a question, but you know, the other craft that is kind of central to Bandhej is tailoring, but not much is said about it, and I'm sure you've worked with families of tailors, and you know, so maybe maybe another time around you could sort of highlight that also. Would you agree? I mean, would you see it as a craft that's...
It is a skill for sure. I mean, for me, I look at all crafts as a skill. It's a skill that can be used, and a skill that can be honed, a skill that can be developed. And tailors, and because our tradition was very different in terms of the kind of clothes that Indian women wore, though. I mean, most clothes people wore were unstructured. But, so they have also adapted to times where, you know, clothes today are far more structured than they were. There's a lot of input that goes in from training, because students today also are trained to cut clothes. And that gets transferred onto the master cutter. And they adapt. I always find that artisans are very quick to adapt. So over the years, yeah, we do have extremely good, and this is like a support system, you know. You need to sort of see things because they're all connected. People who make the clothes, people who finish the clothes, people who embellish the clothes, people who cut the clothes and stitch the clothes. So it's a whole variety of things, and I think, yeah. But quality is something we do need to emphasize on. You know, this quick production and quick use and throw culture. So I think we need to go back into talking about quality.
And which you have managed to sustain through Bandhej. So what I mean is highlighting that craft too and
Yes.
that process.
Yeah, good. Yes, would include that. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Yeah.
Sir. Oh, yeah. I saw somebody at the back. Yeah. After for sure. There's a student.
No, it's fine.
There's a young.
Please.
Yes, after.
So actually, my mom is a crochet artisan, and she just recently did an exhibition in the Adani Shantigram jo abhi hua tha. So she is an artisan, very good. Like I can show you her catalog also, but she is not able to being an entrepreneur. And technically I am Agarwal, so we are business family only. So I came here for that point of view only. Like मैंने आपकी स्टोरी इसके लिए सुनी क्योंकि आप आर्टिसन भी आपने बैलेंस कर दिया और आपने जो एंटरप्रेन्योर साइड जो था आपका कि भाई एक्सपांशन करना है, सब मैनेज मार्केटिंग भी करनी है, ब्रांडिंग भी करनी है. So वो पार्ट उनका फेल हो रहा है. She is a very great, very good artisan. For me, she is great, and she makes portraits, face portraits. Like your face portrait can be made in just 1.5 months, like to be average, if she is not doing any other work. So can you give me some advice जो मैं उनको घर जाके दे सकूँ कि as a crochet artist, because she has a team also. My mom works with 2-3 more ladies also. She gives them employment, but she is not able to expand it. She is confused with the branding and all that business side of this creative stuff.
I think collaborations work very well because the onus is not necessarily like the onus should not be on an artisan or the creator. I mean, I don't print or weave on myself, so I think collaborations work. Why should the onus always be if somebody is very good to working with their hands? And there are wonderful stories in Kutch that there are NGOs today. There's karigar.com, I think, who's helped many artisans in Kutch to become entrepreneurs. Now, they are good with their hand skills, but they had no idea how to do their marketing, actually even how to finish their products. So this collaboration has worked very well. And those artisans today have become very recognized brands because karigar.com helped create a brand for that artisan. So the artisan on their own could not have done it. But today you hear Raji Ben and Pabi Ben and a whole lot of, many, because this NGO has helped. And like this, there have been good NGOs that work there are designers who work with artisans. So these collaborations have brought about quite a lot of change. So I would think sometimes that works well.
So I got your advice. It is कि मम्मी को घर जाके यही बोलना है कि सारा काम खुद मत करो, कोई businessman ढूंढो.
Okay, thank you. There was somebody at the back. Yeah. Mike's coming to you.
Hello, ma'am. It was an amazing session. I wanted to ask, since you have worked with both designers and artisans, what do you think is the difference in approach that I would say like a college designer student would take in creation of a craft as compared to the artisan? Like what would be the things that a designer would ponder upon rather than an artisan would think of it as a different thing altogether?
Well, to begin with, I'd like to say this to students that, I think, really sorry, don't take it badly, but a lot of design people, design students go with a superior attitude of going to try and make a change, overnight. They think that, I think one needs to start being a little more humble. Artisans have great amounts of skill. And so these kind of collaborations can work. So if a young designer goes to work with a craftsperson, first try and understand what that technique can offer, because each skill, each technique there are possibilities and there are limitations. So why fight the limitation? Why not look at, but only if you study the craft will you understand that. So if you go with a mindset to learn, first learn about the technique, learn about how they function, and then use their old samples, their technique, to see how you can modify these to create something which is very contemporary. You can give it a very contemporary twist to it. So these are skills. How well can you play around with these skills? And there's a lot to learn from the craft sector. And there's a lot that a designer can gain. As I just earlier said, you can really design fabrics for your fashion collections, which is really not possible anywhere else in the world. Today, India has the largest number of hand-skilled people in the world. This is a great advantage. We are fortunate. Young designers today are actually very fortunate that they have this available wealth.
One more question. You were talking about coming up with new ideas to get while maintaining. You were talking about coming up with new ideas to exist in the current market time. So how do you use the artisan's craft? Like, how do you maintain the visual style of it while coming up with new ideas?
I think with experience it just grows. And I think very often when you sort of dig deeper into, you go to a place, it's a very superficial engagement to begin with. But the more you look at something, the deeper you get into it, things start unfolding. And somehow it seems to have worked.
Thank you.
Okay, just one thing, we'll limit it to one question per person because there are a lot more people who want to ask some questions, so please, one by one.
Good evening, ma'am. I am your last.
Yeah, sorry.
Good evening, ma'am. It was so knowledgeable to listen to you. I am Simran from GLS Institute of Design, and my question to you is: does combining traditional craftsmanship with contemporary or modern silhouettes and styles risk losing authenticity, or it can enhance the relevance and value of the craft today?
It depends on how you use it. As I said, why fight if you understand a particular technique? And if you try and create, say, what is done in Banaras, a brocade, and try and get a weaver in Kutch to weave it, it'll be a disaster. So I'm saying if you work within what a craft allows you, and allows you immense, it's how you look at it. And you can give it a very it's how you use the technique and the skills they have. Then it depends on how you use use that, and it can have a lot of fashion designers today, if you see, are using hand woven fabrics in a very innovative manner. And recently I saw. I think last year, the Lakme Fashion Week had invited 5 artisans, young artisans, all in their early 20s, from Kutch to participate. And I was really amazed to see their collections on. So it is the artisans themselves who had created very contemporary, and they said there's a very, very very good, very innovative, a tailor is Gandhidham that all 5 went to get their silhouettes, but they worked with the silhouette so that each garment had a unique identity. So even craftsmen are doing things, using their skill to create things which look completely different than their earlier traditional interpretations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Paulameji? Okay.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Thank you for the amazing lecture. So my question will be around business end of it, because I have no design or textile knowledge base as such. So what I wanted to ask was, while you were speaking, I was studying your website and everything. So what I understood from it is the price ranges typically lie at the starting point of raw mango or Ritu Kumar, but much higher than fast fashion, as obviously due to the quality and the craftsmanship. But if I wish to collaborate with one such artist and plan to export it or have a brand that distributes across India, how can I come up with a pricing structure? Because as you said, when we make it in a factory, we can actually narrow down the cost to actually electricity even used to build it. But when we are dealing with different craftsmen, then we can't quantify it as naturally as one can. So how did you come up with the pricing for this? Did you do any competitor analysis, or did you go through the product plus so and so and so and so approach?
I think when we started, we didn't have any many other, because, there were not many clothing companies when I first started. So the pricing depended on cost of production, overheads, and whatever. But I cannot understand why one should compare, because this is not fast fashion, and fast fashion has their own problems today. So the young today are questioning things about what is happening to the environment. If you saw the second last slide, I mean, in the third world countries, you have now, it's no longer landfills, it is mountains of waste. And so the young are questioning this. A lot of the young now feel that, and why should you have 500 t-shirts? You can have very, very beautiful 50 t-shirts. So it's a question of the choice you make as far as a consumer is concerned, or somebody who wants to get into the business. What kind of business do you want to get? And I don't think everything is just to do with the price point. It's to do with also fair earning for the artisan, fair earning for everybody in the entire production line. The very fact that artisans have continued working with us over a period of, say, 40 years, they're happy with what? And I've seen a transformation. If you see Mohammad Bhai's house, which you did probably in the initial slides, today, I think they have more than, the children have become globetrotters. They have 10 workshops within that one family. With each workshop having 20, 30 people working there. They have proper, they have, some of the houses are designed by architects. They have a vehicle. They have probably 20 or 30 acres of land between the family. So there's been a change. And I think one needs to look at things like this, and they're doing very well. And I keep asking Ismail, Mohammad Bhai's son, I said, how do you deal with, how do you deal when you see computer generated ajrak prints? So he said, aaj market mein 250 rupees ka bhi milta hai, 2000 rupee ka bhi milta hai. And there is a space for both. So it's like, he says, yeah, it's become an aspirational value, but everybody can't afford a real ajrak. So I think he's very philosophical about it. But that aside, to my mind, it is an ethical issue. Why should it be print? Why should, develop their own design vocabulary. So I think today it's a question of ethics, no? What should people in the production line earn? Fair wages. It's not just the question of cheap. And what does it do to our environment? And these things, one needs to start getting mindful about it. I think not just cost of things. It's a huge problem today that we are looking at everything, how to make it cheaper and cheaper.
Okay, I think one last question, please. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Prachi from GLSID. And my question is, you have worked with a lot of artisans. So how did you build your relation with them? How did you gain their trust and vice versa? It's not easy.
It's built over years. And as I said, when I first started, I realized that it worked well for both. We managed to build a network of artisans. Today we can sort of design any kind of fabric because we work in so many different areas. And we find what is appropriate for that design to where it can be produced. So it's this long-term association. As I mentioned, when I first started working, very often it was, ye nahi ho sakta hai, itna hi karenge. And over time, it's built into a very cordial relationship. And one of the most pleasurable working thing is that experience it's not just work, it's building relationships over time, because it's a very, very close connection. So I find that equally, that's a very big difference in terms of industrial production and handcrafted work. Artisans today also talk about a lot of them have gone and worked in industry and come back because they realized how monotonous that work was, how badly they were treated in the industry, how unsatisfactory it was, and they've come back to do this, because as recently one young man said, family ko bhi saath rakhta hai, kitna, you see a man weaving, his grandchild is sitting, or his son, young child is sitting next to him. So people seem to enjoy that equally, that whole human connect. And I think we've reached a point today that these things, people are talking about it. People are talking about it even in rural regions. And I think the young are talking about this all over the world, that we need to rebuild human connections. So one needs to look at the whole thing in a larger, it's not just one production, 5 meter kapda bana lo. I think we need to start looking at life in a...
Ma'am, there was a movie called Susman or Susman, which was released in 1987. It was about handicrafts and how the artisans are coping with the industrialization that is happening at the time, and how they are treated when someone gives them an order or someone comes to them. That's why I asked the question that how did you build your relation? So I think, yeah. Thank you for...
I think that should be all. Thank you so much for this wonderful, informative
thank you all
session.
for being here. I'm really overwhelmed to see so
Now
many
over
people
to
here.
Palomiji, please.
Thank you. Sorry for butting in. Just some of the questions the young people were asking in terms of, if I may add to what Archana said, contemporary design silhouettes and traditional centuries old textiles. The thing is that what I feel one of the reasons for success of Bandhej is that there's been a balance between the two. I know a lot of women, working women, who used to, when Bandhej was only one store in Ahmedabad, to shop at Bandhej because they were making contemporary silhouettes that we could wear anywhere. Like I'm wearing a Bandhej sari, which is very easy to drape, it's very lightweight, but it's also handmade, handcrafted, handloom. We are ready to pay the price for it, you were asking, because we know that it's going to reach the main artisans in an ethical manner. So if I feel that that's a very big concern that Bandhej has had, and that's a reason why stories like the one that Archana has given to the whole world needs to be shared. This entire talk is available on the AMA, Ahmedabad Management Association's YouTube channel. And I will also take the opportunity to talk about Association of Designers of India. We are the Ahmedabad chapter, and we have been trying to take design out of design institutions and reach to different audiences. Ahmedabad chapter is just 6 years old now. And our president is Shimul, and Kathan you met. There's me, there's Jaimin, and then there's Digvijay. Both Shimul and Digvijay couldn't come today, so they send their regrets and their Diwali wishes for everyone. Design talks we are organizing, it's a partnership with AMA, so that a non-design field is available. We are trying to reach out, so if any of you has a space that you would like to share, we would love to curate an experience or an event there where we are trying to also share the story of senior designers. And we would like to thank AMA. We are eternally grateful to them. They have been a wonderful host for us for a lot of our talks and discussions. And thank you, Varunji. Thank you again, Archana. And thank you, audience. Thank you so much for taking out time, and wish you all a very happy Diwali.